Hey everyone, it's Lizzie and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing before you leave. Also, if you do end up liking today's video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. So guys, we are continuing on our Budget with a Friend series every Friday, and I have another friend's budget here to review. So thank you so much for submitting your information to me and just trusting me to review your budget. I really hope that these videos are helpful. If they are, let me know in the comments. It always reassures me that the information I am sharing is beneficial and just motivating to you. So let me go ahead and just introduce our friend here. So our friend, they are a household of 4. So it's her husband, and 2 children, a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. They are a dual income household, which is awesome. However, they do have some debt, which includes a credit card, a furniture balance, and also a vehicle. So it totals $15,454.97. They do have an emergency fund of $283 and no sinking funds yet. So right now their goal is to just not overspend, and they want to be able to grow their savings. They are going to be planning a trip in June of next year, and they'd like to save up roughly $900 for that. And what I did here, I just calculated how many months is it from December to May, so that way we can break it down into a more smaller amount to focus on each month instead of looking at the actual total amount. So this totals roughly $150 every month to be able to save that total $900 before the trip begins. Also, she wants to start saving for Christmas for next year, and she wants to roughly save $600 for that. Again, we're just going to be counting the number of months starting from December through November, and we'll figure out how much we could save monthly. So I calculated roughly $55 a month for that. Now what I like to do is I will plug in all of her bills on a calendar view. So I'm starting with December, and I plugged in when they receive their pays. So husband gets paid every week, so every Friday. Just put a $ down here. And then the wife gets paid bi-weekly and on Wednesdays. So these are the paydays for her in December. And then they also have, you know, some of the quote-unquote regular bills. They have a mortgage, they have a car payment, they have their phone, insurances, and also they have a babysitter that they pay each and every Friday. So I know with having children, you know, comes with these different expenses. So you may have to hire a sitter or bring your child to daycare because you do work. So those other expenses are also factored in this friend's budget. So she had submitted her numbers, and with those numbers, I like to plug everything in to a bill tracker. I absolutely love using a bill tracker because seeing everything on a sheet like this, for some reason, it just triggers something in my brain where I can visually see, okay, this is where our money should be going. So that way it's not a big blow to the budget every time you get paid. So I've already filled this in, and if this is your budget, friend, you can go ahead and just take a screenshot of this, and then you can fill in your own bill tracker. I do have these available on my website. Hopefully the website is up and running. I've been having some technical issues with it, so bear with me on that. The back end team, my host, is working on it. So hopefully by the time this is up, I'm filming this on Black Friday actually. So hopefully within the next couple hours or a couple days, it will be back up. So I know I've received so many messages about that, but this will be up, and it is up on my website as a freebie download. All right, so what you will do, in case you don't know how I like to set up the bill tracker, is up at the top, you're gonna see some blank boxes. This is where you're gonna plug in your paydays. So for example, this friend gets paid weekly, right? So I just wrote in, oh, we got a noisy car. So up at the top, we have the weekly, and then over here, I have the bi-weekly also written in right up above. That way we're gonna limit the amount of times that we're gonna go to the bank if you are a cash budgeter to withdraw. And it just, I don't know, it makes it a lot easier planning it out this way. And then down here on the side, you write in your bill due, the bill, and the amount. And then when you use this total information right here, the total amount due, you break it down by paycheck. So for example, you're gonna see some of my numbers here are varying. They're not the same. So what I do, I take the total amount and I'm going to divide it by the number of pays. So it's not the number of weeks, it's the number of pays. So you take that total amount and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's hope I did that right. So the total amount and divide it by 7, it gives us 299.28. Okay, I am going to adjust a couple of things only because, and hear me on this, if you see that the number is a little bit high for your pay amount, increase by $50 or so to the following week when you get double income. Okay, so for example, I would have put 300 in here. However, the husband receives a weekly paycheck of about $1,100 is what she told me. So if I were to have done that number right here of 300, the total expenses from this pay would have been a lot higher than what I would be comfortable with. So what I did, I just decreased it by 50 and I added that 50 onto these weeks, the every other weeks, okay? So this is where you can kind of play around with it. So another thing here that, just so you can see how this is done, over here I broke it down by as if you were gonna set aside every week, because that's typically what is done. So right here, so $100, I'm assuming that maybe you've already started saving for these bills, so that's $25 for every 4 weeks. So I just marked that in here, but then I kind of switched it up, since if you were to be using my system, you're gonna see that it changes. So I believe there are 6 paydays after you pay this bill. So if you take 100 and you divide it up by 6, that gives us 16.66. So if you can see here on the week that only one of you get paid, we're gonna set aside $17. But then the week that both of you get paid, you double it and you're gonna set aside $34. So if you're following me, if you understand this, if you want me to go a little bit more in depth on this particular worksheet, let me know in the comments. But I hope that that kind of explains how I broke this down. So I took a lot of time actually to figure out these numbers and see how it could best work for your pay schedule, for your pay amounts that you receive. So then down here, I just wrote in what the total of each of these columns are. That way I can figure out, okay, you know, we might have to add a little to the payday that both of you receive a paycheck, so that way it doesn't feel like you have such a tight budget. I also wrote down here the variable expenses. So you have your groceries, your gas, and your eating out. You didn't mention anything about personal spending. So that might be something that I would recommend adding into your budget, because you have your regular day-to-day spending for you and your husband. You know, if you want to buy a little snack or something when you're out and about doing your errands, or your husband, maybe he wants to, when he's getting gas, he wants to go in and get a drink or a slushie or something. I don't know. That's usually what my husband does. That's why I'm using that as an example. But, you know, you have to factor in those regular spending into your budget as well. So definitely recommend going through your bank statements and your receipts to see what your true spending is, and then you can always factor that in. So now, once we've done that, we filled in the bill tracker. Now we're gonna go ahead and write in our paycheck budget. Oh, let me actually, sorry about this. I wanna show you a monthly budget breakdown of your budget. So you get paid, your husband gets paid weekly. So looking at the December budget, there are 5 Fridays in the month. So that means that he would receive 5 paychecks in the month. So that increased his budget by the $1,100 for this month. So the total income that you guys are working with is $7,080. You didn't mention anything about giving, so I'm not gonna write that in. However, I personally do give to my church. I also donate and other things, and I personally do 10%, but that's just besides the point. I just wanna mention that if it were my budget, that's what I would add in. So looking at this total income, I like to use a percentage budgeting method. Now, I know that this doesn't work for everyone, but you submitted the information to me. And again, I'm always going to give my recommendations, and you can pick and choose what tips you would want to apply for your personal finances. So with the percentage method, 80% is what I would recommend you start with, because you have debt and you want to also like save for emergency and different things. So because you have a lot more expenses, 80% might be doable. So what you do, you take your total income and you multiply it by 0.8, which gives you 80%. So 5664 is what that totals out to be. And then the remaining 20 will be towards your goal. So debt payoff, savings, whatever it is, you can put that amount, 1416, for those savings and goals. Now, because you have debt and you have like higher expenses, if we look at all of your fixed expenses, so you have your mortgage at $20.95, your Wi-Fi, your alarm system, you have a car payment of $410. I highlighted the expenses that could be adjusted if you were to either sell or refinance or switch plans, or maybe lessen the amount of times you use a babysitter. I don't know, it's just kind of putting it out there. So $410 is what you pay for your car. You have a $220 phone plan. That might be something that you could maybe look into getting a different carrier. I know that there are a ton out there that are really affordable, so definitely look into that and do your research on what is best for your area, because I know it depends on the service of like where you live, if it's even beneficial for you all, but that's just something to consider. That's why I highlighted it. You have your furniture that you pay, your insurances, your credit card, and then I highlighted the sitter again to look into. You could possibly switch out how often you have a babysitter. I don't know your personal situation, so again, it's just a thought to consider that. And then for December, there are 2 weeks, so you have Christmas Eve and then you have New Year's Eve. I'm not sure if you would even have your sitter for that week because it's the holidays. I just wrote in the $300 a week that you pay your sitter. I just included it for the 5 weeks, but this obviously, it all depends on when you actually hire the sitter. Again, I just base it on the information that is submitted to me in black and white. So the total expenses, fixed expenses for this month of December is $52.25. And so that leaves a remaining balance of $18.55 to break down the variable expenses. So we are under the fixed expenses, we're below that 80%, which is great, but then we still have the variable expenses to account for. So you had told me you budget $400 every month. So because this is a holiday month, I added an extra $100 to break it down by the weeks. So $100 each week. 5 weeks is $500, right? I did the same thing for your gas and your eating out. I just added an extra week amount to factor in. Again, usually December is when people spend a lot more for traveling and just different things. So I just wanted to be realistic with that. And then I also added in a buffer because, again, with the holidays and stuff, you just never know what might come out of your account. So you definitely should think about putting in some sort of a cushion or a buffer in your checking account in case there's those unexpected bills, or you end up spending a little bit more on these categories, or your personal spending, because I don't have that written in here, but that might be something you want to add into your budget. So $900 is what this totals. So we're over the goal amount of that 80%. So you take the $900 and you add it to the $52.25 for the fixed expenses, and that totals $61.25. And $56.64 is what we had wanted to be within the spending limit of this budget. So it could be that maybe we take out the $200. We're at $59.25 still, so we're still over. But that's kind of just a guide. I never say, you know, only live within that amount, but it's just a number where you can say, hey, if I can cut back on something to be able to reach our goals faster, why not, you know? Why not consider reviewing these particular numbers and seeing if there's anything that you can possibly cut or switch? But I definitely would consider for the month of December factoring in some sort of a cushion in your checking account, because this is the time of year where a lot of people tend to swipe their credit card because they want to get in on those deals. Guys, it's so hard, but you can have that control. So definitely I would recommend factoring in some sort of a buffer. And then I also wrote in the sinking funds. So we broke it down in the first page. What will it be monthly? So I wrote those in here, and that leaves $750 left from this budget. And because you had around a little over $200 in your emergency fund, I would consider putting a bulk of that into your emergency fund, and then the rest paying it towards your extra debt. Because having young children and just different things, you definitely want to beef up an emergency fund because you just never know what can happen. Now I want to show you the month of January, just because there's not that extra week in the budget. So I want to show you how this differs from December. So I'm going to go through this really quickly, but you can see what your income is. It dropped a little bit for your husband, so $59.80 is what we're working with. And then if we break it down here in the percentage, this is 80% of the income, and then this here is for 20% for your goal. So 80% is $4,784. Oh, my dog is crying. Hold on. So $4,784 is 80% of the income, which is what I would recommend any of your spending to be, no more than that, or very close to that. 20% would be for your goal, which is $1196, and that can be for your debt or your savings. So let's see what this month looks like. So the expenses are the same. Again, it's 1 week less, so $1,200 will be applied to your sitter. Again, I just highlighted those three because those are three that you could possibly adjust. So $49.25 is what the fixed expenses total out to be, leaving a remaining balance of $10.55. So with the $49.25, as you can see looking up here, we're over that 80% marker, which is okay. But again, if you can maybe look into your car situation and then maybe your phone plan, I don't know about your sitter, but those two are options that you can maybe switch out and look into. It's just a thought. So I'm only throwing different suggestions that other people might recommend as well. I did factor in a small buffer here because again, we're going through the holiday season. You want to factor in something in there for the budget. So that totals $610, leaves the remaining balance of $445, but we still want to apply towards these savings goals. And then this leaves a balance of $240 after allocating for those savings goals. And I would just say put it directly into your emergency fund because again, you definitely want to start planning out for emergency savings. Now what I want to do is write in along with you the paycheck budget for the 1st of December. So let me show you how I personally do this. So you have your bill tracker on one side, and then you have the paycheck budget on the other. And then you're gonna see how this is gonna be broken down. So again, these are available on my website. I hope it is up and running when you guys are seeing this, because guys, it's just been craziness. So, okay, the pay is $1,100 for this because we only have one paycheck that we're working with, which is your husband's. You didn't mention anything about giving, so I'm just gonna bring that number down right here. And then now we're gonna go ahead and just fill in the bills. So I love that we've already done all of the hard work on the bill tracker, and now we can just focus on, okay, what are we actually going to be paying from this paycheck for the bills? So we have the mortgage, and mortgage is going to be getting $250. And then when I mark it up, I just go ahead and I check it off. Sitter is getting $300. Wi-Fi is getting $13.75. The alarm system, I'm assuming that's what that is getting $16. Again, some of these, I'm assuming that you've already set some money aside for them from the prior paycheck. So I'm assuming. The car payment is gonna be getting $102.50. The phone bill, we're gonna set aside $55. And again, some people, they like to withdraw cash for these items. I personally leave the bills in the bank account, and I use a checkbook register that I'll set the money aside. That way I won't spend it. So yeah, that's just something to consider. We have life insurance is going to be getting $25. The car insurance is getting $32.75. The water bill is going to get $45. Electric, oops, is going to get $42.50. Furniture is getting $35. Your gas bill is getting $15. And then the credit card is going to get $25. So now let me go ahead and total up these. All right, it matches what my total is down here. So $957.50. So you take your income, the $1,100, and you subtract the $957.50, and it gives us $142.50. And then that is what we use to plug in the numbers for the variable expenses, which in your case, you just told me that you budget for grocery, gas, and then eating out. Again, I would think maybe you'd want to put in like a personal spending or something like that, or miscellaneous for like different snacks and things. I'm also going to put in a little bit of a buffer. Let's see what we're left with. So we have 142 that we're working with, and we have these expenses. So 100 plus 25 plus 15. Are we left with anything? Hardly anything. So it's $2.50 that we're left with. So I'm just going to write that number in, because 142.50 is what that totals. So let's just make sure 25 plus 15 plus 250. Yeah. So that leaves us with a zero-based budget. And then as you can see here, 100% of this income went specifically for expenses. So that's something that you also, like doing this, you're able to visually see how much is being allocated to bills. So obviously cover the bills, cover you to be able to eat and things over saving. So now I want to show you the difference of the second pay. So this is the week of the 10th, and this is the second pay. So both of you get paid on this. So I want to show you this really quickly. So let me speed through this. So now taking the income, we're going to subtract the $1451.25, and this leaves us with $438.75 to budget the rest for. So we're going to go ahead and just do the same numbers over here as we did the prior week. Groceries getting $100, gas is getting $25, and then eating out is going to get $15. I'm going to factor in a buffer. So what is that? 100 plus 25 plus 15. Maybe we'll do the change here. We could do like 38.75. 38.75. So 178.75 and 438.75. We're going to subtract the 178.75, and it's going to give us $260. We had said that we wanted to put $150 every month, so that is, what is that weekly? $150, we're going to divide. So since we have a tight budget for the husband's pay only week, we can maybe do divided by 2. Let's see what that comes up to. Okay, so that's $75 for the trip. So we can do that. And then we said, what did we say for Christmas? Again, this is the monthly one, $55 to be saved for that. So if we do 55 divided by 2, so we'll just do it based on the weeks that both of you get paid. So that's twice a month. That's $27.50. So let's just do $28 for Christmas. And let's see what that brings us to. So we have 75 plus 28, and that gives us $103. So you take the remaining up here, 260 minus the 103, and that leaves us with 157 to budget out for, and you can apply it to your emergency fund or extra debt. So let's say you could do like $100 for emergency and then $57 for debt, and all of that gives us the same amount, and it leaves us with a zero-based budget. So you can do that throughout all of those paydays just by using the bill tracker system. And I truly believe that by like maybe reviewing your, like I said, some of these bills, I don't know if you were going to be paying the sitter for the 24th or the 31st. So I just put a little star by that, but definitely look into maybe seeing if you can lower some of your expenses. That way you can maybe be within that 80% of what your income is. But either way, if it's not, you can still see that you're able to apply for your, apply funds towards your savings goals of your trip and Christmas. You can also factor in some extra spending money for your personal spending. miscellaneous. You can be saving for your emergency fund, extra debt payments. It is so possible, and that's truly why I'm so passionate about helping other families just find freedom in finances. And that means something completely different for everyone. Everyone's finances is so different. And again, that is why I love doing these budget with a friend videos, because you can see that budgeting can work if you just play with the different numbers and see what you can possibly switch out. If any of you others who are, you know, good with your finances see something that I may have missed, something that you might recommend to our friend or anyone in a similar situation, let us know in the comments so that we can learn and grow from each other. But guys, that is everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were inspired to get on a written budget, but do it in a way that makes sense to you and your family. I'll see you guys right here in a brand new video. Bye guys.